Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joey from Tracer, and I'm here with Max King, who just launched a new Tracer program, the Max King Half Marathon program. Thanks for doing this with me, Max.
My pleasure. Looking forward to
Yeah, we're both rocking our Tracer sweatshirts.
it.
It's looking good over there.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, new program. This is a tour and intro to the new program. We're also going to be showing a demo of the software in just a few minutes here. So if you're watching this, stick around to actually watch it work. But Max, first question is, tell us who this program is targeted for.
Yeah. So we created this program basically to cover a wide range of athletes. I wanted a half marathon program that was going to basically pick you up where you kind of start, like where you're, just coming off of. Maybe you've done one other half marathon. Maybe you're brand new to half marathons, but you're just coming into it and you're kind of starting not off the couch, but you're starting at a beginner type level. And it'll hit that type of athlete. And then we're moving all the way through, all the way up to basically almost an elite level athlete. We've kind of created this program to reach all the way up to that high end. And it has elements in these programs that are going to be suitable for those almost elite type athletes as well. And so I created this so that it would reach as big of a range of athletes as we could possibly have, and say kind of like 95% of that bell curve, right? That's what we're trying to hit. And then on the side of that, we also have, like, I've built in the ability to go from anything from a flat road half marathon up to a somewhat hilly trail half marathon, so that you've got maybe 1,500 feet of gain in a half marathon. And it'll reach between those two levels as well. Because I wanted this to work for people who are doing not just a road half that you think of traditionally as being pretty flat, but also like a hilly road half marathon, like the Bend half marathon that we have here in Bend, all the way up to a lot of the trail races that we've got on the West Coast or in the United States of being kind of like that a pretty mellow trail, but you're going to have some pretty decent elevation gain up to about 1,500, maybe 2,000 feet maximum in those half marathons. Pretty smooth trail. This program is going to work for those as well.
All right, so if you're doing anywhere from a road to a rolling kind of trailish half marathon all the way up to something that has 1,500 feet of vert, this is going to be good. If you're going steeper than that, you probably want to use one of the other more mountain based programs where you're hammer and vert. This is meant to be like a fast program where your leg turnover is very high. And you're saying it applies to everybody who's maybe going out for their first marathon or their first half marathon, all the way down to somebody who's really pushing the limit of what their body's capable of. So, to somebody who's skeptical of that, or is like, how does that even work? What would you say to somebody who's like, how can you have a program that applies to a beginner doing their first half marathon all the way up until a pro and handles maybe whether it's flat or has some vertical?
Sure. And I mean, legitimate question, right? It's like you think of like giving yourself a static program and you're like, how is that even possible to go from that big of a range? Well, I mean, part of the beauty of Tracer is that we have these onboarding questions that we'll see in a few minutes. And I've structured the onboarding questions so that I can get exactly where your starting level is. So one of the big questions that I'm going to ask is, what type of a race are you doing? Are you doing a flat half? Are you doing a road half that's hilly, or are you doing a trail half marathon? That's going to structure that program based on the answer that you give to that into three different, very distinct programs. And then the side of that, I have a question in there that's going to kind of move that lever as far as the intensity goes. That intensity lever is meant to kind of get at, like, are you coming into this as a casual half marathoner that maybe you want to get a little bit faster, or are you coming into this as like, hey, I want to train like a pro athlete right now. I want to see if I can get the best out of myself, reach my potential. Those are going to allow me to kind of adjust that intensity level of those programs, and make one program like, I'm going to pull back on the intensity quite a bit, only put one workout a week in there for you. Whereas on the other side of it, you're going to get two workouts a week. Sometimes you're going to get a structured long run that's going to be pretty intense. And it's going to be a lot harder of a program for you.
Yeah, and I want to point out something here that Max is saying. He's saying, I'm going to pull back on certain workouts or I'm going to give you more. What he means by that is that the AI that has been trained to behave like Max as a coach through his data, that's what Tracer is all about. We go to people like Max, professional athletes and coaches. We get their data through a special onboarding process. And then train the AI to fully match the way that coach wants to do things. So when you sign up for this, you're getting Max's brain in the software, you're getting his methodology. And that's what he means by this thing adapting as if he's giving it to you directly. But you pay the price for having the AI version, which is a lot cheaper than if you were to try to hire Max as a personal coach directly. So that's kind of the beauty of Tracer. So getting back to the half marathon program, though, let's put it to the test. Let's see if it actually works.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to see here. This is our program catalog. So we've got the King Half Marathon program here. I'm going to click into it. This is once you're registered for Tracer, you go in and as a subscriber, you can enroll in any one of these programs. We're going to look at this and you can see it's got some information about Max and why he's qualified to coach you for something like a half marathon. Tells you a little bit about what we're talking about now. So we're going to enroll. I'm going to choose a goal date. Let's go out a couple months here. Let's say I've got one on May 31st. Now I'm going to set my typical availability for this program. So I'm going to say I like to take my rest days on Sunday. I like to do long workouts maybe on Saturday. And that's usually I'm a 5 or 6 day a week kind of guy. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to throw in actually let's throw in a rest day on Wednesday just as if we were somebody who has work obligations or something else on Wednesdays or just prefers to only run 5 days a week, which is still a fair amount. So now we answer the question, how hard do we want this program to push us? These are Max's questions. I'm going to go through and it says, looks like I'm, whether this is where you would select if I'm a first timer just trying to get through it, I could select that. Or I could say, hey, no, I'm ready to train really hard like a pro. I'm going to go ahead and say the third level here. So I'm ready to rock. Maybe I'm not quite a pro, but I'm ready to put in some solid intensity here. Uh, I'm gonna say right now. I'm gonna go ahead and say 40 to 60 miles. So doing a fair amount of volume, and I want to do a trail half marathon. So I'm gonna go ahead and click that one, and we can change these at any time. So let's go ahead and enroll and see what happens here. All right, so there are the first 2 weeks of the program. What do you see, Max?
Well, I mean, right off the bat, we've got a rest day, right? I mean, you're taking a rest day on Wednesday, so you can see those on the Wednesdays. Next day, we're going to jump into a threshold run. That first week of your program, I'm usually going to put in some kind of a threshold run, something to start you out with, something that's fairly mild, but some intensity. And then, you're going to have a lot of threshold in the first couple of weeks of a program. I'm going to build that. I'm going to start building that base for you. So long runs, threshold runs, easy runs, things like that, just getting some mileage in there. Kind of go down to the next level. You've got another threshold run that next or on next week, on next Tuesday, and then into a long run on the weekend. With this program, you're ready to rock. So typically, what I'm trying to do with this is get you into 2 workouts a week. I'm on most weeks, and you'll see like with this, we kind of started out in the middle of the week, and so it kind of moves your easy long run, the first one, to the next week. Whereas if we'd started yesterday or the day before, you might see that on that first Saturday that you're going to have in your program. But we started in the middle of the week, so we're just kind of pushing that easy long run out a couple of days to that next weekend. And then you've got that next threshold run. And then you go past that easy long run. And on your third week of your program, you're going to have a threshold run on Monday. 2 days in between, and then you've got hill intervals on that Thursday. And since you selected that you're going to be doing a half marathon on trail, like you're going to see a lot more of those hill intervals in there, probably on an every other week sort of a basis. And that's to get you ready for that hilly half marathon on a trail. So you're going to start to see some of
Okay.
that.
All right, so let's put it to the test here. I'm going to go into this program tab where it shows more information. Here's all the workouts in this program that you can expect to see. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what? I no longer want to do a trail. I'm going to go down to a flat one. And let's just take a look at what happens. So we go back to the calendar,
Okay.
and I guess we're seeing that really only one of the workouts over the first 2 weeks changed. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, so that's what you're changing about this program when you select those different types of races. And so basically, you're still at the same level as far as you want to rock, and so you're ready to push pretty hard, and you've still selected 40 to 60 miles a week, and so you're going to not see a lot of changes other than those hill workouts are going to get pulled out of there, because for this I want to focus on the flat, I want to focus on other aspects of it, and so you'll see that hill interval workout switched up with long distance intervals instead.
Interesting. And obviously, as the program plays out, we're only looking at the first 2 weeks. But as we get closer to race day, I imagine you'll see more and more of these changes trickling through as you change these answers.
Yep. And like I said, you're
And
going to see a lot of threshold runs in the beginning. You're going to start to kind of alternate those with the long distance intervals. And then closer to the race day, I start to put in some more of those short distance intervals to get your leg speed up a little bit more. You're starting to do a little bit more VO2 max type workouts, things like that. So,
yeah. And if this looks, after somebody's generated this initial 2 weeks, they've answered the questions. If it still looks too easy or too hard, there's a couple of things that people can do. They could come in and say, you know what, maybe I'm not ready to rock, and back it off and say, okay, I'm only running 20 to 40 miles a week here, and change the answers here, and also go in and change the schedule. So you can see that, maybe there's one less workout now.
yep.
The thresholds are put, there's more rest days between. And you can also change days that you're available. So you could just go in and say, I can only run 4 days a week now, not 5, and go in and say, you know what, I don't want to run on Friday here. And that's great. And even if you did it on a workout day, you could come in and say unavailable on this Tuesday, and you can see that it changed the threshold run. And this is where the AI really shines, because this is not a static training program. This is not a piece of paper. This is dynamically adjusting so that you can use it as your life plays out. You may be changing these availability days because you're sick, or sorry, because your schedule changes at work. Maybe you're going on vacation and you're going to have extra availability. You could come in and say, okay, well, next week, I could do a long run on Friday or on Saturday. What do you think, Max? And nothing changed because you had one here. What about on Monday? I'm available for long then. And in this program, likely you're not going to get many long runs because it's a half marathon. But that's the point, is you can adjust your schedule as you go. What if somebody doesn't feel right, Max? Let's say that we've got a threshold run on the calendar, and I wake up and it's like, man, I just feel totally beat today. I've had a super stressful day, not feeling right. Something's off, or I'm blown out. Like my muscles are really sore.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, it definitely depends on the answers that you've given to those onboarding questions, because sometimes if you're a pro, I'm going to make you do it. I'm going to put you through that, whether you're tired or not, because that's kind of where the level that we're at. However, like that said, like if you're at a level such as this, where you're just kind of getting into it, you're kind of trying to take it easy a little bit. If you are going to be sore, tired, or sick, I'm going to change that workout for you. So Joey, you might try that on that threshold run. Go in there and say you're sore and see if that pushes that over to that Saturday. It did. There we go.
Boom.
So Like if you're sore, I don't necessarily always want you to go through with a hard workout. I want you to get something in, just to be consistent with your running, but at the same time I want you to then push that, maybe to the next day, maybe a couple days later, and depending on where you're at, with the workouts coming up or a long run coming up, I may emphasize a long run over a workout, and we're going to take that workout out, and not just push it a day. And so that's where the AI really shines. It's not like we're just pushing things out, and just readjusting that way. It's when you don't need to do a workout, and I want to emphasize a different aspect of your training, like a long run or something like that. I'm just going to take that workout out, and that will show up in these programs.
Yeah. One more thing I want to highlight. Uh, if I go in, let's say today it says I'm telling it I'm unavailable, but I'm going to change it to be available here.
Okay,
And it says go out for an easy run. I'm going to pretend that I went out with my friends and they were doing threshold runs on Wednesday. And I really wanted just to go with them,
sure.
right? I don't want to wait till tomorrow. So we go out and I say, okay, today I did a threshold run and you can kind of choose a level that's similar to what you did. This is a 4x5, but uh, and now what's happened? Why is there no threshold
You
hit?
did a threshold run. I don't want you to do another threshold run. You've gotten that work in for the week. And so, what we're going to do is that's going to be your workout for the week. I'm going to take that workout out of your calendar. And then we're going to jump back into the schedule in a couple of days, after you've kind of, recovered from that workout.
Okay, cool. One of the things I like to do is ski, so I'm going to pretend I did some really high intensity skiing. So I'm going to go in and say cross training here. And if I say it was a low intensity, you're still giving me the
That's
workout
right.
here of the threshold
Yep.
run. If I go in and say though, oh no, it was a schema race and I blasted myself. It's smart enough to know like, okay, it sounds like you need to back off for a couple
Yeah,
days.
yeah, exactly. And that's where that cross training comes in handy is like, we have our own lives and we do a lot of different things. Athletes, you might be skiing, somebody else might be playing a soccer game and they're super sore from it. I know that happens. And so, if you are cross training at low intensity, I do expect you to be able to do that workout the next day. If you're doing it at a high intensity, I expect that to be an activity that you're going to be feeling for that next day, and so we might push that workout, out a couple of days so that you're recovered for that workout, so that you can get the most out of that workout.
Absolutely.
Um,
All right, Max. And then on the stats here, stats don't show up for a few weeks, but that kind of shows your overall load. That's a good tour of the program. Here are some of the other workouts that people can expect to see if they sign up for the King Half Marathon. We've got structured long runs. We've got cross training, progression runs, double run days for if your volume's very high, you're going to start seeing some double runs, road hill intervals. If you go out and do a simulation or race, you can report that. And short and long distance intervals, other kinds of threshold. And I do want to point out that Max teaches us how to do these workouts. At any point, if you want to learn how to do your workout, say you want to learn how to do the threshold, you can come into the program tab, or you can just go to today, click on this, and you see threshold run. And here's Max. These are all written by the coaches. So Max himself wrote these. Here's a video for how to warm up, and it explains what to do in this workout, how you might mess it up, and what you should watch out for. And I think these are extremely valuable. I encourage people to really read these in detail, maybe multiple times every time the workout comes up, because there's a big difference between a threshold interval or sorry, a threshold workout and say an interval workout. And Max has gone through the work to teach us what that difference actually is and how we should be careful in executing these workouts because it does actually matter. So, all right. Any last words for people who may be considering this program?
I mean, I think we've covered a lot in this, and I think that it's going to be. I mean, it looks great. I think it's going to work for a lot of different people, training for a half marathon, and I'd love to hear what people are thinking about it.
Yeah, give us a feedback, info@tracerfitness.com. If you want to see a demo of this, we're currently running a little promo for a free month credit if you just sign up for a personal demo, and we'll walk you through it. Um, yeah. So take us up on that. Let us know your feedback. I'm sensing some serious PRs for people. People have had a lot of success on your marathon program, and it's going to be the same here, I'm sure, with the half marathon. Very similar, although dialed for faster half marathon
Yep.
effort. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Max.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.